Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're here today with a brand new Cabral concept. It's going to be over at stephencabral.com/2517. The reason why I want you to know about that specific webpage is we're going to be putting all of the takeaways there and all of the research, and you're absolutely going to want to check out all of that here today. And here's why. I've really done a lot of research over the past year to year and a half on hair loss. I never intended that. Sure, I've helped people with hair loss in my practice, but it's not the number one reason why people come to see us in our wellness-based practice. But what I realized was that over the past 2 years or so, about a year and a half, 2 years, that a lot more people were affected by hair loss. And the reason is that during the pandemic, it affected more and more people because of inflammation, viral load, etc. So what I did was I simply said to myself, let me look into all of the scientifically proven ways to regrow hair, meaning that there is no one foolproof system. So please don't let anybody tell you otherwise. But I know when it started to affect me rapidly, and a lot of other people are writing into me on social media, I wanted to be able to do a few shows on it. So we're going to link up those shows today at stephencabral.com/2517. And I go in depth. I go how COVID affected hair loss and all sorts of different details. So again, we'll link all those up here today. But what I wanted to do was one thing I haven't shared yet. And the only reason I haven't shared it is because before I share anything, I want to make sure that it is absolutely scientifically validated. I want to understand who it's going to help, and I want to be able to digest it myself and be able to explain it in the simplest terms possible so that you can take immediate action and get the results that you want. So I have to know it inside and out, really go through it, validate it, and so that you can count on me to give you unbiased, trusted, as a trusted source. So here's what I did. Over at stephencabral.com/hair-loss. stephencabral.com/hair-loss. That's all of my research on hair loss. There's a lot more, but that's what you need to know. Because the truth is there's a lot of things that may work for some people, but it's a very small amount. These are things that work for the majority of the people the majority of the time. But can we improve? Sure. And this is actually, I wouldn't say it's new because the studies really date back to 2013, 2015, but now they've become, well, I would say better warranted because we have now about 7 years, 9 years of data and follow-up data. So it's a process called microneedling. Now, dermatologists, estheticians have known this for quite some time with the skin on the face, and believe it or not, even for stretch marks and other areas of the body, sometimes blemishes, not in terms of acne, but maybe dark spots on the skin, etc. So that has always worked, but they said, can this be used in order to regrow hair? So they actually brought in the most difficult to treat group of people to regrow hair, and that is men suffering from androgenic alopecia. That means men who have gone bald or lost their hair due to the fact that testosterone, as men age, gets converted to a greater degree to dihydrotestosterone, which then is the main reason why men lose hair. However, I bring this up for both men and women. And the reason is that women are getting results from this as well. So that's, again, really interesting to me because the original research was done specifically for men that had lost a lot of their hair. And they basically said, what if we bring in men and we do two different parts of the study? One is using the traditional minoxidil. And again, I've read these studies inside and out. So I'm just paraphrasing all of this for you right now, but I'm going to link up the exact research. I have 2 of the main studies, and then I have another 3 additional kind of takes on those studies where other people are analyzing the studies. And I think those are worthwhile as well. So here's what they found, because this is really interesting. So out of the men who went through this particular study, 50% had not gotten results from using minoxidil. So minoxidil is like a Rogaine or something like to help regrow your hair. And that works for a lot of men and women. But again, you want to really speak with your doctor before using a minoxidil, for women. And so, and again, I'm obviously not giving you any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, or medical diagnosis here on the podcast. But what they did was they actually had men, they split them into 2 groups. One got the minoxidil, the other got the minoxidil plus the specific microneedling or derma roller. And I'm going to share with you what size derma roller they used, because that's important, and how often they used it, because I think things could go wrong if you use it incorrectly. So that's why I really wanted to understand the data and what's being done, this year too, 7, 8, however many years later. So they found that in the group that did the microneedling that were typically unresponsive to minoxidil, a vast majority started to get improvement, which was phenomenal, right? So let me just share with you that here it is. So 25% saw improvement, and meaning drastic improvement. 85%, let me give you the exact stat, all right? So patient evaluation. Patient subjective evaluation of hair growth at week 12 was a primary efficacy variable. I'm direct quoting the study. In the microneedling group, 82% of patients versus only 4.5% in the minoxidil group reported more than 50% improvement. So more than 50% improvement in just 12 weeks. So that's the fastest that I know out of any different treatment. That goes for PRP, that goes for red light therapy, that goes for everything. Like 12 weeks is the fastest that I've seen. 82% said they saw improvement. So, I mean, that's pretty fantastic. And here's exactly what they did. So again, I'm going to keep this right to the point so that you know what to do. And again, I'm not telling you to do this. I'm just sharing with you the study. All right. So there are different type of derma rollers, and you need to know this because this was part of the study. It has not been replicated with smaller derma rollers, but there are different methodologies, and I'm going to explain them all. All right. So the derma rollers that you typically see are 0.25. All right. That's for typical micro needling of like the face, to 0.5. To then they start to get larger, 1 or 1.5, all the way up to 2.5, which are like fairly big needles, right? And again, if you don't know what if you don't know what a derma roller is, because I'm getting more into the skincare and rejuvenation. We'll be talking a lot more about that next year. And again, a lot of this is obviously not a lot of it. It's all science-based, but I'm not getting any younger, and somehow all of us seem to get older, each and every year. So I'm looking more and more into this, and I also think it's very fascinating as well. So let me just share with you this, because this is interesting. So 0.25 typically done for the face, maybe even 0.5, but that's starting to get up there, and you don't want to use it on a daily basis, so we'll get into how often you use it. But in this study, a 1.5 derma roller was used. And again, a derma roller is basically a single handle, and it has a little roller on the end. If you're watching this on video, you can see me fumble through, what it looks like. And I should actually grab one, because I just got one, and I'll share with my results as well. But it's a roller, and what it does is has little tiny needles, like little tiny, barely perceptible that you can feel it with your finger, but they're there, like small little needles. And when did I do this? I'll do a Friday review on it this week. So definitely stay tuned for my Friday review as well on this. Okay. So, and I'll show you it. I'll go through it and all those different statistics. All right. So in the group though, it was a 1.5, and they only did it once a week for 4 weeks. And then they went down to every other week for subsequent sessions. Now, let me give you all of the sessions that they did. And I believe it was 15, but I want to make sure that I get you exactly how many they did. And I, of course, will link that up. Yes, 15 sessions. All right. So they basically did 1 a week for 4 weeks, And then every other week, they would have 11 left, right? So that's 22 weeks then total, plus the initial month. So we're looking at what, about 5-6 months. Okay, so about a 6-month study on this. And that's what they did. So once a week for the first month, then every other week for the next 5 months. That's an easy way to look at it. And so if you wanted to replicate the study, that's what they did. Now, what I want to share with you is this, is that at 1.5 millimeters, because there's a lot of back and forth about what size derma roller you should use, and I actually spent a week just like kind of looking at this research before I brought it to you. That's how to replicate the study. Now, a lot of dermatologists and hair loss experts have said you don't need the 1.5, you really just need the 0.25 because that's what allows the minoxidil to get in deeper. And I would actually push back a little bit on that because there's two schools of thought, and I would experiment with both. The first one at the 1.5 millimeters, they say you should not use minoxidil or any type of treatment a day or two after. And they didn't in this study. And the reason is it could get much deeper into the body instead of just on the hair follicles. And again, minoxidil is there to help you regrow hair. And a finasteride-based treatment would be to get into the hair follicles and block the testosterone from converting to dihydrotestosterone, which may then cause the hair to fall out in both men and women, but predominantly men. Okay, and again, I give you all the reasons why women lose their hair, because there's actually 6 reasons at stevencabral.com/hair-loss. There's no email opt-in. There's nothing. It's just I bring you the science of exactly what I've learned. Okay, so that's that. This is important because the 1.5 replicates the study. Don't put anything on your head because it's actually going to be pretty sensitive. You're going to create these little micro cuts from the micro needles going along the head. So that's important to look at that. And typically you're going over like 10 to 15 times. So it's, it's going to be potentially a little painful. And you may want to see a dermatologist for this, but of course that's your choice to do that. And again, in this study, they actually used a microscope. Like they took real photos. They did the study back and forth. I'm going to link it up. You can actually see the before and after photos. They're pretty convincing. I mean, it's a legitimate scientific study. All right. But then there's a different school of thought. And it's using a 0.25. So again, think of the length, 0.25 millimeters versus 1.5 millimeters, enormous difference. And the 0.25 could be used daily on the scalp. And then you would afterwards directly put on the minoxidil or finasteride or whatever you're using for the topical in order to help regrow the hair. And that would allow it to seep into the skin and absorb better into the hair follicles. So people are getting great results with that. So there's actually 2 different ways to do it. Now, I will tell you, I ordered the 0.25 derma roller, so the small one, in order to see how that felt on my head. I felt absolutely nothing. Now, I think that, I won't share with you all the details, but my skin and like my bone structure of my forehead is like pretty solid. My skin's pretty thick. I don't think it's always the same for each individual. Like if you have thin skin, if you get nice soft skin, which I don't, then I think you probably do the 0.25. I think for my skin, I probably need the 0.5. So I'm going to order a 0.5 derma roller for my scalp at least. If I start to do it on my face, of course, I'll start with the 0.25. Okay, so the 0.5 could be used, 0.25 to 0.5 could be used daily as long as there's no irritation. And that's just to be able to get in minoxidil or finasteride or whatever you're putting topically on your head. Okay, so that's one part. Now, that's one plan. If you are doing the 1.5, you will not do that daily. You'll only do it once a week. And then you won't put anything on your scalp for a day or two in order to let that scalp heal for a bit. Now, the 1.5 is not for absorption of the topical oil, like a pumpkin seed oil or bergamot or anything like you might be putting on your head, right? It's not for that. The 1.5 is actually to stimulate collagen and potentially stem cells under the skin in order to create new hair growth. That is why I don't think they're a 1-for-1. In the study, the goal was not to better absorb the minoxidil. The goal was actually to stimulate new follicle growth, and they have proven that with regular dermal base and the papilla of the skin in order to stimulate collagen and new growth. So I think you're doing 2 different things. 0.25 allows for better absorption of the topical ointment, whatever liquid soluble that you're putting on your scalp. And the 1.5 is to actually stimulate new collagen production. So if you were looking to combine the two, which has not necessarily been studied, you would do a 1.5, don't put anything on your scalp, allow it to heal. And then maybe after that first month, you might try the 0.25 or 0.5 on a weekly basis, because you're only doing the 1.5 every 2 weeks, again, if you're looking to follow this particular study, because you don't want to necessarily, there'll be little cuts again with that 1.5. So you need to let that heal before you start to derma roll again. So I wanted to bring that to you today. I mean, this is really interesting. It's like anything, as more and more science and technology and all these things evolve, we can just continue to up-level our knowledge and also our results. So what I'm going to do is I will eventually add this to stevencabral.com/hair-loss, which is simply all of the research that I've uncovered that actually works. I'm not going to recommend anything to you that doesn't work. All of these things have been scientifically proven to work. I will link up the studies today at stevencabral.com/2517. I'll also link up the derma rollers that I bought, and I will link up, of course, the patient-based studies from this. And again, just the activation, these are the three methodologies as to which they said it worked. The release of platelet-derived growth factor, epidermal growth factors are increased through platelet activation and skin wound regeneration mechanism. That means as your body heals, it begins to regenerate. So that's why it's like a micro, it's almost like you do a workout, there's a micro tear of the muscles and it regrows stronger, right? All right, the second way was activation of stem cells in the hair bulge under wound healing conditions, which is caused by the derma roller. And the third is the overexpression of hair growth related genes, vascular endothelial growth factor, and basically that is stimulated through the deeper level of the derma roller. So hopefully that's helpful. The smaller derma roller increases absorption. The larger derma roller increases the platelet-derived growth factor, as well as the stem cells, as well as the genes that regulate hair growth. So there you have it. Hopefully this was helpful. Of course, if it was, please do feel free to share this with anyone you believe it could serve. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.